The wedding date was approaching, but suddenly, David proposed a delay. My brother got into trouble abroad. I have to save him. Sarah, please be good. At that moment, I saw bullet comments appearing out of thin air. The male lead is disgusting. Lying through his teeth. His brother in trouble? Nonsense. He just wants to have one last wild fling with his first love abroad. Girl, open your eyes. David's 32-inch suitcase is full of special toys. Or, maybe consider David's brother instead. He's been secretly in love with the female lead for 7 years, and now she's marrying his younger brother. His heart has shattered countless times. I fell silent for a moment. Then I decisively dialed his brother's number. Your brother is running away from the wedding. Maybe you could come to the rescue. Brother? Chapter 1. Sarah? My chaotic thoughts were pulled back by David. Impatience flashed across his face, but he softened his tone to persuade me. Sarah, please, listen to me, okay? You know my brother raised me. If something happened to him, there's no way I can pretend nothing's wrong and go through with our wedding. Just 1 month. Give me 1 month. I promise I'll come back to marry you. At that time, I'll give you an even grander wedding, all right? As he spoke, he kept glancing at his phone. His restlessness was obvious. The bullet comments reacted faster than I did. Fuck you. You trash man. Can't control your body and now you're using our male supporting role as an excuse? Luis is truly tragic. 7 years of unrequited love wasn't enough. Now he's being dragged in as the scumbag's cover story? If the truth comes out, what if our baby female lead ends up hating Luis too? I put myself in the male supporting role's shoes and I can't breathe. David opened WeChat. Whatever he saw made the corner of his lips curl briefly before he forced the smile down. Then he looked up, stood up. Just now he was smiling, but his mouth now said, Sarah, I just received news that my brother's condition is even worse. I must leave immediately to find him. 1 month later, I will come back to marry you. I stared at him for a long time, then gently nodded. Go. David seemed too rushed to notice my reaction. He left quickly, even forgot his work laptop, which he never went anywhere without. It required a password to boot. The next second, the bullet comments seemed to read my mind. The password is 110,606 because David and Vanessa reunited on November 6th last year. And that night they did it 6 times. November 6th. My hand trembled. Instantly, I remembered. November 6th was the day of our engagement. David had been very late. His clothes were messy, and there were scratches on his face. What did he say back then? On his way, he ran into some rebellious kid, worried something might happen. He personally took the person to the police station. The clothes and scratches, he said, were caused by that kid. Turns out, that rebellious kid was 25 years old, and she just happened to be his first love, Vanessa. Chapter 2. I unlocked the computer. David's WeChat was still open. Pinned at the top was a stranger's profile picture, a little cat. The remark read, Seductive Cat. I tapped it open. What came into view were several photos sent by Seductive Cat. Cat ears, black stockings, and barely a palm-sized patch of lace fabric covering her entire body. A faint glimpse of spring light. Deliberately enticing. Seductive Cat, time limited. No waiting. David, bullet loaded. Tonight. Don't even think about getting out of bed. My heartbeat turned chaotic. The next second, WeChat logged out. David's call came in. Sarah, I left my computer at your place. Did you see anything? So blatant to test, suppressing the nausea in my chest. I calmly replied, really? I didn't see anything. Do you need me to mail it to you? No need. I was just asking casually. It's only work files inside. Nothing interesting. Sarah, I really don't want to be apart from you. I just left your place, and I already miss you so much. I wish I could marry you right now, but unfortunately I can't. On the other end of the line, his tone was as gentle and affectionate as always. But as I listened, all I felt was disgust. Physical disgust. The urge to vomit. I had no patience for his performance. I hung up, tossed the phone aside. After a moment's thought, I sent a WeChat message to my mom. Mom, I don't want to marry David anymore. Is that okay? Then, Exhausted, I collapsed onto the sofa, my thoughts tangled into a mess. This marriage with David was impossible now. I had a kind of obsession with cleanliness, especially in matters of love, but the wedding date was already set. To call it off suddenly was almost impossible to manage. My mom quickly called back. Sarah, marriage isn't just about you alone. The news has already been announced. I don't care what reason you have. The wedding must proceed as planned in half a month. You don't want to marry David? Fine. As long as you can find a man better than David. I quietly listened to her scolding and said only one sentence. But David cheated. My mom was silent for a few seconds, as if she hadn't heard at all. Sarah, for families like ours, dignity is the most important thing. Dignity. Exactly the answer I expected. I gave a small laugh. Got it. Bullet comments exploded across my vision. The female lead is so pitiful. Her entire life is tied up by family face. She can't even decide whether or not to marry. Girl, maybe look at Luis instead. He loves you so much he's going insane. That's right. Sarah's family wants dignity, and Luis' son is the head of the Son family. Marrying him would be far more dignified than marrying a spoiled playboy like David, wouldn't it? Luis. My eyes lowered. It seemed there was no other path left. Chapter 3. I called Luis. He answered instantly. Sarah? His voice was hoarse, heavy with fatigue. Bullet comments. Ah, what am I seeing? The female lead actually called the male supporting role? Mom, is my forbidden ship really about to come true? Who understands this? Luis is on a business trip abroad. It's 3 a.m. in the US right now. And he answered instantly. I don't need to explain the gold content of that. Has anyone noticed that every time Luis calls the female lead's name, there's real emotion in his voice? Even though he's forced to accept reality, when it comes to her, he can't stay formal. Of course there's emotion, because he calls her name every day and pleasures himself to it. Hiiii. My face instantly flushed hot. These bullet comments were getting way too active. Some of those words, how did they even pass review? Sarah. Luis spoke again. Why did you suddenly call me? Is something wrong? My restless heart gradually calmed. I closed my eyes. Something's wrong. I'm on a business trip abroad. I can't go back for now. If you don't mind. My secretary could. No, I cut him off. This matter, only you can help me personally. Without waiting for his reply, I continued. Your brother is running away from the wedding. Maybe you could come to the rescue. Brother. Ah, Mom. My forbidden ship really came true. Did I see that right? The female lead wants to marry the male supporting role? On the other end of the line, Luis's breathing suddenly grew rapid. Rescue? What do you mean? I paused. Come back and marry me. Silence fell again. Only his ragged breaths proved he hadn't hung up. Just before I hung up first, he finally spoke. Wait for me. Chapter 4. The bullet comments were in total chaos. Oh my god. The male supporting role is so excited he's crying. Is this real? A wish come true? LOL. Before leaving the country, Luis went to a temple to burn incense and made 3 wishes. 1. For the female lead to live a long life. 2. For the male lead to give up. 3. For himself to rise to the position. Well, how is this not a wish come true? Looking at all those messy words, I felt a little dazed. Actually, the first person I met wasn't David. It was Luis. In my sophomore year, Luis came back to campus as a famous alumnus to give a lecture. I was the host. After that, I kept running into him, and we started becoming familiar. When I started dating David, I didn't know Luis was the elder brother he often mentioned. Until, on the eve of graduation, Luis brought a bouquet of custom flowers and many gifts to campus. He unexpectedly ran into David and me together. David looked shocked. Brother, why are you here? You know about my relationship? Luis's gaze moved between David and me. He smiled lightly. Yes, I came to give your girlfriend a meeting gift. Meeting gift. I replayed that word again and again in my mind. A sudden suspicion grew in my heart. Could it be possible? That day, Luis had actually planned to confess to me? Chapter 5. The next day, I slept until 10, then went downstairs to throw out the trash. But I saw an unexpected figure. A Rolls-Royce was parked downstairs. Luis leaned against the car door, smiling at me. My steps halted. Wasn't he abroad? How had he returned? I know everything now, he said softly. Something this big can't be explained clearly over the phone. Sarah, Luis paused, his expression carrying a trace of unease. As for Vanessa, I can take care of her. If you still can't let go of David, no need. I don't like used goods. I cut him off. Luis froze for a moment, then visibly relaxed. Please wait a moment. After speaking, he quickly walked to the Rolls-Royce and retrieved a thick stack of documents from the passenger seat. There were many files. He presented them to me with both hands. Sarah, this is a summary of my assets. Before our marriage, I'll transfer 70% of my shares and all my movable and immovable properties under your name. They'll count as your premarital assets. This one is my medical report. My body is absolutely healthy. I have no bad habits, and I've never engaged in inappropriate behavior with anyone, whether female or male. I am absolutely clean. Bullet comments. Oh ho ho. Absolutely clean. Don't worry. Baby female lead. Not only absolutely clean, but also absolutely lasting, absolutely thick, and absolutely able to serve you. My face burned hot again. I took a deep breath, chased away those inexplicable images from my mind. Then I looked at Luis. Then, the wedding date I already set. Half a month from now, we keep it. Do you mind? He shook his head. After a moment of thought, he added in a low voice, I don't mind anything. Sarah, for you to marry me, it's my honor. I was just about to discuss the details with him, when a sharp ringtone cut me off. It was David's call. Chapter 6. Sarah, I really miss you. I'm already at the hospital. My brother's condition isn't good. I might not be able to return to the country for a while. Sigh. I put the phone on speaker. When Luis heard his brother's condition isn't good, he frowned slightly, but he said nothing. Perhaps afraid I wouldn't believe him. David also sent a photo. I'm at the hospital right now. It was indeed a picture of a hospital. Only, there was no one in the frame. Bullet comments exploded. Fuck. How shameless is this scumbag? Luis is standing right in front of the female lead. Okay? The one in the hospital is obviously Vanessa. Last night David played too many tricks and ended up sending her straight to the hospital. This rotten cucumber is eating from the bowl while staring at the pot, and still trying to fool our Sarah. Luis's expression darkened. He gestured for me to hand him the phone. I shook my head lightly. David's temper was extremely impulsive. Besides, our marriage, in a sense, was also a powerful alliance. It would help him establish a footing in the Sun family. If he knew I had discovered the truth, he would definitely pester endlessly. I really couldn't afford to lose face. Luis said nothing more. Bullet comments. I'm dying. The male supporting role is silently heartbroken. Does he think Sarah still can't let go of David? He's heartbroken and uncertain, but absolutely confirmed as a pushover. Looks calm on the surface, but inside he's already cried an entire Pacific Ocean. I looked at Luis. He did look a little dejected, since he was the one I'd be spending the rest of my life with. I couldn't bear it. Not telling him is just to make sure our wedding goes smoothly. From the day he cheated, David and I were already over. Don't overthink, okay? Luis lowered his gaze. His long, thick lashes cast a shadow in the backlight. The next second, he gently took my hand. My ring finger felt a little cold. I looked down. A diamond the size of a pigeon egg nearly blinded me. For everything we'll use in the wedding, let's change them, okay? Whatever you want, I can give you. I don't want anything he's touched either. My heart softened. I couldn't help but curl my lips. Okay. Chapter 7. David still harassed me every day. Only, his lies were often exposed by the bullet comments within seconds. He texted me at dawn saying he missed me. Bullet comments. Heh. In fact, he's just been fooling around with the female supporting role until now. Thinking of the female lead only makes him guilty. He sent jewelry pictures, saying he wanted to bring them back to me. Bullet comments. Damn. These are the leftovers the female supporting role didn't want, and he dares send them to our female lead? Scumbag. Maybe take a look at what your brother gave her instead. Overturning everything and rearranging the wedding was extremely complicated. Although Luis arranged almost everything, I was still running around endlessly. These bullet comments brought some amusement into my busy days. Occasionally, the bullet comments even live broadcast David's scenes to me. For example, right now, in a dimly lit private room, a group of men and women were recklessly clinking glasses. Someone laughed as they toasted David. David, only 5 days left until your wedding with Sarah. Aren't you going back? Smoke swirled in the air. David lazily toyed with Vanessa's hand, laughing wildly. I'm not going back. David, you're bold. Someone gave him a thumbs up. Good thing Sarah loves you enough. Otherwise, with her temper, delaying the wedding would have blown everything up. David laughed again, with my brother as an excuse. She couldn't say a word of objection. Besides, it's not like I won't marry her. I just want to indulge once before the wedding. In this lifetime, I'll only marry one person, and that's Sarah. Vanessa was displeased. She yanked her hand away. What about me? David narrowed his eyes, his expression turning cold. Vanessa, don't say such stupid things. Our relationship can't see the light of day. Remember that, all right? The only person who can be my wife is Sarah. Put away your unrealistic fantasies. Wow, so devoted. The bullet comments were already cursing him out. I rolled my eyes and went straight to sleep. This was also a bug I had discovered. As long as I closed my eyes, the bullet comments would disappear automatically. Because of that, I didn't see what happened next. Vanessa, tears shimmering in her eyes, stood up and walked out of the private room. David's expression didn't change. Continue. Someone's eyes widened. You used your brother as a shield? David chuckled and nodded. I told her my brother had an accident abroad, and I had to rush to help him. Sarah didn't say a word against it, and just let me come. That person fell silent for 2 seconds, hesitant. But, your brother is here, in the country right now, preparing a wedding. I heard from family that he's getting married on the very same day as your original date. David, didn't you know about this? Chapter 8. David tightened his grip on the wine glass. Getting married? Yes, I heard your brother is personally preparing the wedding every day now. He even insists on picking out the flowers for the venue himself. He hasn't even been going to the company lately. David, your brother is famous for being a workaholic. Whose girl is it? Who's gotten him so invested? Someone slapped their forehead. Shit. If your brother's in the country, doesn't that mean Sarah already knows you lied to her? David, how are you going to end this? At the mention of me, David regained some composure. Even if she knows, it doesn't matter. Her parents only care about profit. They're desperate to ally with me through marriage. Sarah has been an obedient girl since childhood. She won't stir up any trouble. Why else do you think I'm marrying her? An obedient, gentle woman, presentable in public, for the sake of family dignity. No matter what I do, she wouldn't dare make a fuss about divorce. As for my brother, David thought for a moment, finding the most reasonable explanation. All these years he's stayed away from women. I've never heard him mention any. I must have forgotten to tell him the wedding was postponed, so he's probably just busy preparing it for me. He paused, then spoke with certainty. In any case, it's impossible that he's the one getting married. Chapter 9. The next day, I was woken by David's endless deadly calls. A surge of irritation rose in me. I forced it down. David's tone was cheerful. Baby, I've got good news for you. My brother's fine now. I'm currently abroad customizing a diamond ring for you. Once I get it, I'll return, and then we'll hold the wedding as planned. All right? I frowned instinctively. What did you say? I said, the wedding won't be delayed. Once, David didn't finish before letting out a muffled grunt. Bullet comments. Fucking scumbag. The female supporting role is literally under him right now. So disgusting. Rotten man. Fickle and shameless. Can't he just die far away and stop ruining the female lead's wedding? The nausea surged in me again after seeing the bullet comments. Sarah. David panted low, calling my name. I love you. I really love you. I was about to hang up. Luis suddenly pushed the door open. Sarah. About mom and dad. On the other end of the phone, There came the heavy sound of impact, and a woman's coquettish moan. Immediately, David's voice sank. Sarah, is there another man in your house? Chapter 10. I was truly annoyed. My emotions surged. I didn't want to keep acting with him. I even thought about just letting the pot break and spill, lay everything out plainly. After all, Luis was his brother. With Luis here, even if David was dissatisfied, he couldn't stir up any storm. At worst, on the wedding day, we could just tie him up. Still dignified, with that thought, I acted on it. Yes, I said, it's your brother. In 4 days, we're getting married. David, you don't need to come back. David fell silent for a moment, then suddenly burst into laughter. Wife, are you angry? Be good. I just wanted to tease you. I never planned to delay the wedding. Don't worry. In this life, I'll only marry one person, and that's you. On the wedding day, I'll be there on time. Be obedient. I couldn't help but laugh in anger. David, do you not understand human speech? I said, you don't need to come back. My groom is your brother, not you. His tone turned impatient. Sarah, don't be unreasonable, all right? Stop using my brother as an excuse. If you could have liked him, what place would there have been for me back then? Forget it. No need to bring up messy things. Anyway, I'll return to marry you. I clenched my teeth. This self-righteous idiot. Luis gently soothed me, signaling me to turn on speaker. David, Sarah isn't joking with you. We really are getting married. Brother, even you're playing along with her act? David sounded helpless. Forget it. If she wants to make a fuss, let her. Just calm her down for me these days. I've got things to do. Hanging up now. Chapter 11. Luis and I looked at each other, both seeing speechless disbelief on the other's face. I couldn't help but laugh. He doesn't believe us. What do we do? Luis's expression didn't change. Don't worry about him. I'll handle it. First, eat breakfast. It's from your favorite meat bun shop. I nodded. That was all I could do. I washed my hands and opened the food box. Just then, my phone chimed again. It was a WeChat message from David. A video. In the video, David's eyes were half closed, his face flushed with desire, the gasps of a man and woman tangled together, breathless and intimate. Baby, you're amazing, David exhaled. Not like Sarah, rigid and boring. Before marriage, she won't even let me touch her. Vanessa playfully asked, so who's better, me or her? Of course you. After you get married, I'll go to your house as the housekeeper. Every day in your master bedroom, I'll drain you dry. Leave not a drop for her. Oh, such possessiveness. Do you want her to live like a widow? Why not? David chuckled lowly. That won't do. If word spreads, people will think I can't perform. Don't worry. I have no interest in her at all. Just fulfilling marital duty. And the rest, all for you. I calmly glanced at the time. Oh, only 3 minutes had passed since we hung up the phone. I opened a shopping site, searched Viagra, copied the link, sent it. David replied instantly. He sent back a question mark and said, what do you mean? Chapter 12. Bullet comments said, ha ha ha, Viagra. Seriously, Sarah is so cute, doing the most insulting thing with the calmest expression. Ha ha ha, I'm dying. David thought he was so amazing, but the moment he opened his phone and saw that link, he started doubting life. Of course, how dare he brag after only 3 minutes? Does he even know what level his brother is at? Ha ha ha, don't say it. But Luis may still be a virgin, yet he's naturally gifted. On the wedding night, Sarah's probably going to lose focus. I ignored David and focused wholeheartedly on eating breakfast. Luis seemed to know my tastes very well. I admitted, at the beginning, I was merely settling for the second best. But after half a month together, I suddenly felt marrying Luis didn't seem so bad. At least, he didn't need medication. Chapter 13. Bullet comments said, David had returned to the country early. Apparently, my WeChat message left him baffled. After pressing Vanessa for answers, he finally learned the truth. He flew into a rage, abandoned Vanessa, and came back alone. Yet he was still very confident. After returning, he didn't come to find me, nor did he look for Luis. Instead, he went to meet up with his friends. Chapter 14. David was surprised. Friends who used to chatter endlessly with him now seemed unusually silent. He sneered, "Come on, look at you all, drooping faces over nothing. Whatever happens, we'll still hang out together. Nobody can control me." Someone lifted their head, letting out a sigh of relief. "David, it's best if you can think that way." Others chimed in, "Yeah, David, since you and Vanessa were first loves and fit so well, why not settle for her instead? Your brother raised you. You can't fall out with him over a woman." David frowned. "What nonsense. Vanessa is the kind of woman you play with in bed. Nothing more. Marriage? No. I still want Sarah." "Enough. Tomorrow I'll go prepare for the wedding. Tonight, let's enjoy ourselves." The moment his words fell, the room sank into silence again. The crowd exchanged uneasy looks. Finally, one bold voice spoke cautiously. "David, you really don't know? Earlier we guessed wrong. The wedding your brother was preparing was his own, not yours. He's really going to marry Sarah." Chapter 15. Sarah. What do you mean by this? When David came looking for me, I was chatting with the makeup artist, finalizing the style for my look. "What do you mean? What do I mean?" His face was truly ugly. "I just went out to relax a bit. I'm about to step into the grave of marriage. Can't I blow off some steam? Do you have to retaliate against me like this?" "All right. I know you're still angry. Vanessa and I just happened to run into each other abroad. And it only happened once. Don't worry. It won't happen again." He didn't bother lowering his voice. The staff around us were forced to hear it, awkward, but unable to hide their gossiping eyes. I sighed. What shame, utter shame. 110,606. I said, "Do you need me to explain what that means?" David froze. His face instantly drained of color. "Sarah, you already know." Chapter 16. This can't all be blamed on me. He said, "Ask yourself, if you weren't so old-fashioned, refusing to even let me touch you, would I have gone to someone else for release?" "Sarah, we're adults. I just strayed a little, but you're turning around and marrying my brother. Is that fair? I know you're still angry, but you and my brother have no feelings between you. Would you two really be happy married? I've already come back. The wedding isn't delayed. Stop making a fuss, all right?" I looked at him, and couldn't help but curl my lips. Shameless, cheated, and yet still tried dumping the blame on me. "So, you cheated, and that's somehow my fault?" David choked on his words. Bullet comments. Good question. What else can a scumbag like him do besides shifting the blame? I really want to go in there and slap him. Where does he get the face to say this? David lifted his head. "But you can't marry my brother, Sarah. Don't you know what about me?" Before he could finish, Luis arrived. Chapter 17. Go on then. "What about me?" Luis gently wrapped his arm around my waist. Like a declaration of ownership, David's gaze fell on us, his anger flaring higher. "Luis, is this how you take care of your younger brother's fiancée? Taking care of her right into your bed?" Luis's expression stayed cold. "David, don't make a scene. It was you who chose to cheat. You who insisted on postponing the wedding. How is it that suddenly everyone else is wrong, except you?" David stiffened his neck, glaring at him. "It's not like I wasn't going to marry her. If you hadn't deliberately interfered. With Sarah's family so obsessed with dignity, how could they ever have allowed us to break off the engagement?" Smack. Luis slapped David hard across the face. "So you do know." His voice grew colder. "You knew Sarah's family valued face. And yet for the sake of your lower half, you left her alone in the country. You postponed the wedding. How did that brain of yours even come up with that? Did you ever think about the situation you put her in?" David's lips moved, but no rebuttal came out. He no longer argued with Luis. Instead, he turned to me, his eyes gradually reddening. "Sarah, I really know I was wrong. I won't contact Vanessa again. There will never be another woman around me in the future. For the sake of all these years we've been together, forgive me this once, okay?" In just a few days, we'll be getting married. I took Luis's hand and walked away. After a few steps, I turned back to glance at David. David, from now on when you see me, call me sister-in-law. Don't worry, you're Luis's brother. As your sister-in-law, I won't hold a grudge over these little things. His fists clenched tight, his eyes fixed on our interlocked hands. Then suddenly, he laughed. Sister-in-law? What a fine sister-in-law. Then do you know why I met Vanessa in the first place? Sarah? Chapter 18. Luis froze mid-step. Bullet comments. Holy shit. What scene is this? Why didn't we see this before? I don't remember any plotline like this either. Goddamn scumbag. What the hell are you babbling about? Luis and Sarah are finally about to get married. Don't let this ruin it. Please don't let this turn into a bad ending. Brother. David stared at him. After scheming so long, you finally got what you wanted. Proud of yourself? He strode quickly up to us. Sarah, aren't you the one who hates being lied to most? Well, what about now? Do you even realize he's always had filthy, twisted thoughts about you? To break us apart. He plotted everything. Vanessa and I hadn't seen each other in 6 years. If it weren't for him, how could Vanessa have suddenly returned to the country? If not for him, how could I possibly have met Vanessa? How could I have betrayed you? He was the instigator of everything. Sarah, open your eyes. The man beside you is far more despicable than me. David's voice rose sharply, his emotions exploding. Facing his accusations, Luis remained silent. Only the hand holding mine trembled slightly. He wanted to let go, but I gripped him tighter. Luis froze, his eyes meeting mine. I had never seen him look like this before. Frightened, uneasy. Sarah. He spoke, his voice hoarse. After a long struggle, he forced out only one sentence. I'm sorry. You hear that? You hear that? David gnashed his teeth. He admitted it all, from beginning to end. It was his scheme. He dug the pit and lured me into making mistakes. Sarah, are you really sure you want to marry a man like this? Chapter 19. I ignored him. My eyes never left Luis. He looked away. The atmosphere was tense. Bullet comments scrolled wildly. Why isn't the female lead saying anything? Is she angry at Luis? No. Please no. Don't let my favorite pairing collapse. Come to think of it, for Luis to do something like this must have taken tremendous resolve. His persona has always been self-disciplined and restrained. For him to cross the line and steal his brother's love, it's already a huge challenge. I wasn't angry. Seeing him so flustered now, I felt a pang of heartache. Luis, I said softly, come on, before the wedding, we still have a lot to prepare. He froze. David's face changed. Sarah, are you insane? A man like this, and you still want to marry him? Today he betrays his own brother. Tomorrow he'll betray you. And what about you? I cut him off sharply. Can you guarantee that when you pursued me, you had no ulterior motives? David, wake up. You've always been jealous of your brother. Once you realized he had feelings for me, you went out of your way to chase me, didn't you? Chapter 20. On the way back to my place, Luis remained silent. It wasn't until we reached downstairs that he finally spoke. Voice low. Sarah, if you don't want to get married, I can handle your parents. I laughed, exasperated. Luis, what are you struggling with? When did I ever say I didn't want to marry you? Everything David said was true. Vanessa's return, their reunion, it was all arranged by me. I sighed helplessly. But you didn't force his head onto Vanessa's bed, nor did you make him cheat. Luis, you don't need to blame yourself, really. David's nature is like this. If you hadn't done all that, I really would have married him, but he still would have cheated. If not Vanessa, then someone else. As I spoke, I tiptoed up and cupped his face. Word by word, I should thank you, Luis. Thank you for letting me see his true colors before marriage. So, are we still canceling the wedding? He gave a small laugh, then lowered his eyes. A single warm tear slid into my palm. Chapter 21. That night, Luis didn't leave. There were only 2 days left before our wedding. He wanted to go, but I held him back, layer by layer. Our clothes fell away. His breathing turned heavy, his kisses messy and desperate. Yet at the final step, he stopped himself. Wait a little longer. We're not married yet. I kissed him actively, my hand sliding downward. Luis, I think you need to prove yourself ahead of time. After all, I don't want a useless husband. If you can't, then as it turned out, you really shouldn't say a man can't, because he absolutely could. My mind went blank, and as I begged hoarsely for mercy, I suddenly recalled something the bullet comments had once said. Luis may still be a virgin, but he's naturally gifted. On the wedding night, Sarah's probably going to lose focus. Truly, I was losing focus. At the peak of the climax, the bullet comments reappeared. What the fuck? What's going on? Why is the whole screen covered in mosaics? System, what are you doing? Do you even know what your audience actually wants to see? Show it to us. This is supposed to be the privilege of us SVIP users. Luis gently kissed my eyes. Thank you, wife. I love you. Chapter 22. David's son kept making trouble, but he had no real voice in the Sun family. After causing a fuss there with no results, he went to my parents, and he was right about one thing. My parents were extremely profit-driven, eager to marry into the Sun family. On one side was the Sun family's head, on the other a spoiled playboy personally raised by the head. My parents weren't fools. It was said that they listened politely to David, then apologized just as politely. David, we're very sorry. Actually, the original marriage agreement between our two families was always meant for your brother and Sarah. We made a mistake back then. That's why it was set with you. Now everything is back on track. So please stop making a fuss. Luis came in person, took David away, and locked him up. On the eve of the wedding, who knows what he was thinking? He jumped from the 3rd floor, limping, trying to get me to elope. Sarah, I know you still love me. Come with me, all right? I shook my head lightly. Sorry, David. I don't want a useless husband. Your brother, he's very capable. He doesn't need Viagra. Bullet comments. Ha 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 ha. Viagra has officially become a running gag now. Sarah, your mouth is absolutely poisonous. Tomorrow is the wedding night. I'm so excited. I just downloaded a new browser that supposedly auto-decodes mosaics. Another bullet comment. Please share it with me. I have a friend, really. A friend, who wants to watch. Chapter 23. The wedding was held as scheduled, grand, and tedious. After it ended, I was so exhausted I needed Luis to carry me even to the bath. Actually, Luis wasn't all that self-controlled. Otherwise, our wedding night wouldn't have happened in the bathtub. Before fainting, I saw the final bullet comments. Finally, the grand finale. Woo-woo. May Sarah always be happy. What the fuck? What about that so-called auto-decode? Why is the screen still full of mosaics? Extra, Luis. Before meeting Sarah, Luis always believed himself to be a rigorous and moral man, with perfect self-control. He never understood why humans were always so obsessed with love and passion. Clearly, there were countless things in this world far more interesting than romance. Wasn't studying interesting? Wasn't working interesting? Wasn't making money interesting? Even eating, drinking, shitting, and sleeping were more interesting than falling in love. Every time this topic came up, David would shout in disbelief, claiming he was an alien. How can anyone be this slow? Bro, maybe you should get your genes checked. You might be a mutation. Luis never argued. If being human meant you had to have all 7 emotions and 6 desires, he'd rather be an alien. Unfortunately, he wasn't. The first time he saw Sarah, Luis had only one thought. Being an ordinary human, full of messy feelings and desires, didn't seem so bad. So, he began creating chances to coincidentally meet her, going to Sarah's house to discuss business, inviting Sarah as her family's representative to visit his company, deliberately handing projects to her family so that Sarah would in turn by his side on weekends. But somehow, none of it worked. After quietly brooding for a long while, Luis finally asked his younger brother David for advice. I've fallen for a girl. How should I pursue her? David froze for 2 seconds, then called the family doctor. Doctor, You'd better come quickly. My brother's brain seems broken. Luis was speechless. Fortunately, David still gave him a straightforward answer. Flowers and gifts. Duh, no girl hates flowers. Luis took his words to heart. But when he finally gathered courage, only to see Sarah again, her fingers were already intertwined with someone else's. His younger brother, the very brother who gave him that advice. In that moment, for the first time in his life, Luis wished he were an only child. Chapter 2. Perhaps morality wasn't worth much after all, Luis thought. Even though David was technically Sarah's boyfriend, who could say with certainty that David was the right person for her? Clearly, Luis was more suitable, but since she was his brother's girlfriend, he couldn't openly steal her away. This troubled him deeply. If only David would cheat, Sarah might look gentle, but in truth she was stubborn. There was no way she'd ever tolerate a cheating boyfriend. As long as David cheated, Luis would have the perfect chance to step in and take his place. As for love, it could be cultivated slowly. After all, life was so long. Chapter 3. Everything went smoothly. David's ex-girlfriend returned to the country as planned. Met him as planned. Luis hardly needed to lift a finger. David simply couldn't control himself. Sarah found out even faster than Luis expected. Before he could even drop hints, Sarah came to him directly, asking him to help her out of the situation. Luis was deliriously happy. A fortune like this, and it fell right into his lap. What bliss. Chapter 4. David came back, causing a huge scene. The kid wasn't completely stupid, somehow tracing things back to Luis. In that moment, Luis panicked, afraid Sarah would be angry, afraid Sarah would hate him, afraid Sarah would call off the wedding. But instead, Sarah thanked him. Sarah kissed him first. Sarah even, God. The moment his soul soared to the heavens with Sarah, Luis let out a sigh of pure satisfaction. He thought, so this is why one cannot cling to morality. If he had, how else could he possibly have married her? Story 2. When I was 17, Sebastian and I realized that we were living in a sweet romance novel. He was the male protagonist in the book, while I was merely a background character. Sebastian, furious, tore the book apart and said to me, I don't care about being the main character. I will never love anyone else. At 22, just as the book predicted, I was going abroad. Sebastian patted my head and promised, when you come back, we'll get married. At 27, I returned home. This time, it was to attend Sebastian's wedding with the female lead. Chapter 1. There was 1 hour left before the reception started. I stood in the hotel lobby, staring blankly at the names on the welcome sign. Groom, Sebastian. Bride, Julia. It felt as if I was back to when I was 17. I had pulled an anonymous book from the corner of the library, only to see the words on the cover. Male protagonist, Sebastian. Female protagonist, Julia. Like receiving Pandora's box. I was torn, afraid to peek inside. What are you looking at? 17-year-old Sebastian suddenly appeared. He leaned over from behind, resting his head lightly on my shoulder. Who's the idiot writing a novel using my name? He snatched the book, glancing through it while cursing. What kind of stupid name is Julia? The person I like is called Autumn. Autumn. Where's my Autumn? He flipped through the book, and the more he read, the quieter he became, until his face turned pale. The book told the story of 22-year-old Sebastian, the male protagonist, and his romantic love story with the female lead. Everything in the book, except for the future parts, perfectly matched reality. As for his Autumn, she was merely a background character who appeared in his memories. I don't care about being the main character. I will never love anyone else. Sebastian's eyes turned red with anger, and his hands shook as he tore the book apart. Autumn. Don't believe this. That person will never be me. I didn't say anything. 17-year-old Sebastian hugged me, sobbing in frustration. I hate summer. Autumn. I will hate summer forever from now on. The boy's sobs gradually faded into the noise around me. I snapped back to reality, realizing the sunlight had crept up onto my shoulder. Following the ray of light, I looked out the window, suddenly aware. It's summer now. Chapter 2. A wedding in the middle of summer, it's unbearably hot. An older woman wiped the sweat from her brow as she entered the hotel, complaining to her companion, "Did you check the calendar? Today's not even an auspicious day. What's the Sue family thinking? Sebastian's just in a rush to get married. I heard he proposed 5 times before the girl finally said yes." Her companion, brimming with gossip, continued proudly, "The Sue family has been planning this wedding for years. So once the bride gave the nod, they pulled it together in just 7 days. Wow. Does Sebastian really like that Julia girl that much?" The older woman's voice faded with her footsteps. I couldn't help but recall, how much did the Sebastian in the book love Julia? He loved her so much that after knowing her for just 6 months, he secretly started preparing for their wedding. He loved her so much that despite their mutual affection, he took cautious steps for 5 years before finally entering her world. Even though he was never the patient type, usually bold and reckless, he loved her so much that he completely forgot. At 17, he had picked up a corner of the torn book. On the blank part, he immaturely wrote, "In the name of Sebastian, I warn every storyteller, first, Sebastian will not be the male lead. Second, the person Sebastian likes has only one name, Autumn. Third, no matter the circumstances, Sebastian will forever and always only love Autumn." "Mom, what does it say here?" A little girl stood in front of the wedding sign, pointing to a line of text. Following her gaze, I finally noticed the words written there. "With this grand ceremony, we invite you to witness our lifelong commitment. Sebastian Julia." Chapter 3. 15 minutes had already passed. I was still standing at the door, too hesitant to take that step forward. "Autumn." A familiar voice suddenly called out behind me. I had barely turned my head when my arm was grabbed in a rush. "It's really you, Autumn. You've finally come back." I was pulled into a delicate, fragrant embrace, and a silent sob reached my ear. A bitter taste rose in my throat as I struggled to open my mouth. "Aunt Sue." Aunt Sue choked back another sob and quickly covered her mouth. It's me who let you down. It was after our college entrance exams, on Sebastian's 18th birthday. He invited me to his house under the pretense of celebrating. As soon as we stepped inside, we ran into his mother. "Mom, let me introduce you. This is your future daughter-in-law, Autumn." Sebastian confidently wrapped an arm around my shoulder, proudly showing me off. "Autumn, this is our mom, your future MO." I stood on my tiptoes to cover his mouth. Just as Aunt Sue flicked his forehead, in Sebastian's yelp of pain, we both froze for a moment before bursting into laughter. That was my first time meeting Aunt Sue. It set the tone for every interaction that followed. Sebastian causing mischief, me holding him back, and Aunt Sue cleaning up the mess. In the end, we were always laughing. On my 20th birthday, Aunt Sue gave me the Sue family's heirloom jade bracelet. She made a solemn promise. "Autumn, if Sebastian ever lets you down, I'll kick him out of this house. I won't have a son like that anymore." Now, Aunt Sue was apologizing to me. I hugged her back, raising my hand to gently pat her shoulder. All I could say was, "Auntie, it's not your fault." Chapter 4. Aunt Sue was the first to release me. "Autumn, this isn't the place to catch up." She quickly wiped her eyes and regained the composure of a proper host. "It's hot outside. Come inside and sit down." I lowered my head as she took my hand, leading me unguarded into the banquet hall. We had barely walked a few steps when Aunt Sue suddenly stopped, her voice filled with tension. "Autumn, don't misunderstand." Confused, I looked up and saw the wedding decorations, golden wheat and sunflowers, surrounded by autumnal blooms, created a romantic countryside scene. Scarecrows stood on either side. Rustic baskets of fruits and vegetables were on display, and a crescent moon hung over the stage. It looked like a Van Gogh painting. It was as if I had walked from summer straight into autumn. My breath caught in my throat. "Autumn, please don't misunderstand. The wedding is rushed. And this setup was one Sebastian designed years ago. We just didn't have time to change it." I gripped Aunt Sue's hand tightly, cutting her off abruptly. "Auntie, where is Sebastian right now?" "Autumn." I stared at the tip of the crescent moon on the stage, where an unexpected stalk of wheat stood tall. Maybe a grain of wheat slipped from God's palm, And the wind carried it here? With a heart full of misplaced hope, I stubbornly asked again, Auntie, where is Sebastian right now? Aunt Sue fell silent. After a long pause, she sighed. He's with Julia, taking wedding photos. They're in room 1019. I turned and ran out without hesitation. As the bustling scenery blurred by, I was struck by an odd illusion. 17-year-old Sebastian was waiting for me. Chapter 5. But in truth, everything between Sebastian and me began when I was 16. It was the first day of our junior year after we had been reassigned to new classes. I arrived early, planning to sit at the front of the room. As usual, the scent of osmanthus suddenly filled the air. As if guiding me, I veered off course and chose a seat in the back row near the window, closer to the osmanthus tree outside. The classroom grew noisier, but I was buried in my books until I heard a loud noise beside me. Sebastian had slammed his bag onto the desk. He was wearing a white shirt. Standing tall as he looked down at me, eyebrows raised casually. Hey, classmate, what's your name? His expression and tone were casual, but I sensed a trace of hostility. I glanced at him, bewildered. Autumn. Sebastian let out a mocking laugh. I asked for your name, not the season. I lowered my head, ignoring him. My first impression of him was that he was uncultured. During the introductions, I said from the podium, my name is Autumn. He lounged in his chair, seemingly unbothered. Oh, he drawled, as if something had just clicked. As I walked back to my seat, he suddenly extended his hand toward me. Nice to meet you, he said with a smile, his eyes crinkling at the corners. Weak classmate. I tripped over my chair leg. It was at that moment I realized, with great regret, I was now seatmates with someone with no culture at all. Chapter 06. It was later that I found out. Turns out, Sebastian was the notorious school bully at No. 1 High School. The seat by the window in the back row was unofficially his, and I had stolen it. When Sebastian asked for my name, what he was really implying was, classmate, how dare you take my seat? I thought it was so childish. Maybe it was because my parents worked overseas for most of the time, and I had been living alone since my freshman year. I had matured earlier than my peers and was distant by nature, with no friends. I was terrible at dealing with people like Sebastian. He would casually say things like, Wheat, can I borrow your homework? Or after finishing a basketball game, he would weave through the crowd and naturally approach me, pointing at the unopened bottle of water in my hand. Wheat, can I have some of your water? You don't mind, right? His tone was casual, but not intrusive. On the contrary, it felt like he was really close to you. I quietly summed up this quality of his in my mind as bad boy charm. One day, I saw him reject a bottle of water from a girl on the playground. His reason was, sorry, I don't accept gifts from girls. Don't want to cause any misunderstandings. The girl was not convinced. But you accepted the water from your desk mate. That's because I asked to borrow it. Sebastian tilted his head slightly and smiled as he added, besides, there's no misunderstanding between us. What does that mean? I stood frozen a few steps away, my mind completely blank for the first time in my life. But Sebastian saw me at that very moment, his smile widening to reach his eyes. He walked over slowly, step by step. Wheat. Are you thinking right now that Sebastian seems to treat you a little differently? He bent down slightly, hands on his knees, and leaned closer to my eyes. Don't think about it anymore. His face glowed in the backlight as he said, Wheat, you are special. Chapter 07. I rushed into the elevator like a madwoman and pressed the button for the 10th floor. As the elevator ascended slowly, the memories flooded in. I saw 16-year-old Sebastian, lazily leaning against the classroom window. He tilted his head and asked with a smile, Wheat, can't you tell that I'm pursuing you? The elevator reached the 3rd floor. I saw 17-year-old Sebastian whispering in my ear during a Chinese class. As the teacher explained classical idioms, he leaned in close to ask me, Wheat, do you know how to explain the phrase love the house and its crow? Before I could answer, he handed me a note that said, Love the house and its crow means because I like wheat. I also love every grain of wheat she bears, with no real knowledge. 17-year-old Sebastian had written the most beautiful love note in the world. The elevator reached the 6th floor. I saw 22-year-old Sebastian at the busy airport. He gently embraced me and stroked my head as he promised, "When you come back, we'll get married." The elevator reached the 9th floor. All the images froze on that one day. After finishing a book together, Sebastian and I left the library. I can't stand it. The more I think about it, the angrier I get. Sebastian pulled me to the corner, grabbed my face, and gritted his teeth as he demanded, "Autumn, how could you be so heartless?" I stared at him, dumbfounded, as he delivered his grievance. "How could you be just a bystander? If I lost my mind and ended up with another woman, how could you just stand by and do nothing?" He bit my chin, not too hard, but enough to threaten. "I forbid you from being a bystander. You have to be the villain. The one who crashes the wedding. The one who comes and steals me away. Promise me, no matter what, you'll come and get the messed up version of me, okay?" I wanted to laugh at his silliness, but when I saw the panic in his eyes, I softened. "All right, I promise you, even if I have to go against the whole world, I'll come and get you." To lighten the mood, I joked, "Just give me a signal when the time comes. How about smashing a glass?" "No smashing glasses." Sebastian rubbed his face against mine and said, "I'll put a piece of wheat on the moon." "Autumn, your name is our signal." With a ding, the memories shattered into pieces. I returned to reality. The elevator had reached the 10th floor. Chapter 8. The hands of time turned back to the present. Suddenly, I couldn't bring myself to step through that door, until I heard a familiar voice in the hallway, with that casual tone and a light laugh. "Come on, guys. Have a heart. I just want to take a picture of my bride." "That's not a crime, is it?" In that instant, I felt my soul leave me. Sebastian, when he used to get injured playing basketball, would use the pity card and say, "Autumn, have a heart. Help me put on a band-aid." When Sebastian didn't want to let me go, he'd pout and say, "Autumn, my Autumn, have a heart. Don't leave me alone." "Who told you to make Julia look so bad in the picture? This is your punishment." The laughter of the groomsmen and bridesmaids echoed through the door, filling the hallway. "Let us take enough pictures first. Then you can come in." "Groom, for now. Wait outside." Dazed, I walked out. The lights were dim, and I immediately saw him, standing not far away, locked outside the room. He was dressed in a sharp suit, leaning against the door, shaking his head with a helpless smile. I stared at him. Sebastian seemed to sense something and turned his head. Across just a few meters, but separated by 5 long years, our eyes met. Just once. Just with one look. And suddenly, I realized with absolute clarity, he was no longer my Sebastian. Chapter 9. From 17 to 22, Sebastian and I were together from school to graduation. We met each other's parents, lived together for 2 years, and were only inches away from getting married. The night before I left the country, Sebastian was already planning our wedding. But then, my father, who was abroad, suddenly had a life-threatening accident. We didn't have time to say a proper goodbye, and we parted hastily at the airport. The last thing Sebastian said to me was, "When you come back, we'll get married." I never expected that this would be the beginning of us losing contact completely. I tried to return, but every flight I took got cancelled. Every car broke down, and when I tried to walk, I would faint. Everything in my world seemed normal, but whenever I tried to find Sebastian, my surroundings would suddenly turn into a deserted island. It was as if the universe itself was stopping me. From 22 to 27, between Sebastian and me, there was nothing but emptiness, until yesterday, when I suddenly received the first message from Sebastian in 5 years. "I'm getting married. Will you come back?" I came back. After crossing 5 years of mountains and oceans, I arrived, unrecognizable, before this unfamiliar Sebastian. He couldn't even bring himself to look me in the eyes. Autumn, his voice, distant as if it came from another world. And he said, "I'm sorry, you're too late." Chapter 10. There were only 30 minutes left before the wedding started. It seemed like I was way too late. I didn't know how I managed to smile. But somehow, a laugh escaped my lips. I'm not late at all. Just in time to congratulate you. Sebastian froze. His words stuck in his throat. Suddenly, I found myself unusually talkative. It's me who should apologize. I can't believe I forgot to bring a gift. Oh, right. There's a bracelet. There's a bracelet that's meant for Sue family's daughter-in-law. I can't wear it anymore, so I'll give it back to you. I lowered my head and began rummaging through my bag for the jade bracelet, only to realize I had nothing on me. My bag. Where is it? Where did it go? Panic surged through me as I searched around frantically, my eyes almost sweating from the urgency. I've been carrying it with me all along. How could it be missing? It must be here somewhere. Just as I was about to check the trash bin in the hallway, Sebastian grabbed my hand. Autumn. It felt like an electric shock, and I instinctively shook his hand off with force. Now it was my turn to avoid looking at his face. I took 2 steps back, hurriedly. It must be in the hotel. I'll go look for it. I turned around and stumbled off, running blindly. Autumn! Sebastian called my name from behind, but he didn't follow me, because the door to room 1019 opened, and someone was calling for him. Sebastian, the wedding is about to start. Chapter 11. I dashed into the fire escape, and the sounds from the hallway faded away. I kept running, rushing wildly without knowing where to go. I didn't know how long I had been running before I tripped, tumbling down the stairs and landing awkwardly on a corner platform. My palms were scraped, my arms bruised, and my knees were bleeding. Slowly, I knelt on the floor, cradling my hand as I muttered to myself, Sebastian, it hurts so much. A warm, rough hand suddenly opened my palm, and above me, Sebastian's familiar voice sounded, both caring and scolding. Idiot. Why are you running? He gently wiped the dust off my palm, his actions soft but his words tough. It's just a stupid bracelet. If it's lost, then it's lost. Who cares? As long as I'm still alive, no one can bully you. Got it? Why are you acting so scared? I'm not there to wipe away your tears, so you're not allowed to cry. I looked up, about to retort, I wasn't crying, but then I froze at the sight of the empty stairwell. The dust still covered the wound on my palm, though now it was also smeared with moisture. I raised my hand and wiped my face, my fingers coming away wet. The tears I had been holding in for 5 years broke through like a flood. The pain in my chest was so sharp that my teeth chattered, and suddenly I coughed up blood. Over the past 5 years, I had buried my father, said goodbye to my mother, and wandered alone in a foreign land. I had survived only by clinging to one belief, that Sebastian was waiting for me. How could he not wait for me? Today is your wedding day. I can't cry. I was crying and laughing at the same time, wiping my tears as I muttered to myself. Suddenly, without warning, someone approached me from behind and carefully handed me a piece of white fabric. I'm sorry, are you all right? It was the bride's veil. Chapter 12. I followed the trail of the veil upwards, and there I saw a radiant, glowing face, curved crescent eyebrows, clear almond-shaped eyes, and even without the bridal makeup, she was already sweet and pretty enough, just like in the novels. I don't have any tissues. You should take care of your wound as soon as possible, Julia explained apologetically, then handed me the veil. I don't need it. You can use it for now. I opened my mouth, but no words came out. Any words would seem meaningless. You must be very sad right now. I understand. No, maybe I can't understand. I've never lost a loved one like you. Seeing no reaction from me, Julia took my hand. Especially since you lost someone like Sebastian. Someone like him, Julia sighed, shaking her head, and gently brushed away the sand from my palm with a corner of the veil. As if afraid of hurting me, she blew softly on the wound. Even though it's not my fault, I still want to say, I'm sorry. These past few years must have been hard for you, right? Sebastian said he dreamed of you. He dreamed of you coughing up blood. Did you also encounter a lot of danger? Danger? It was more than that. To come back. I died 27 times. Just 7 days ago. I was punished for trying to return to the country and ended up in the emergency room. At that time, I thought I was surely going to die. But hearing Julia's words now, the only thing I focused on was the word also. What did Sebastian go through? I lost control and grasped Julia's hand through the veil. Looking at her in desperation, I finally asked the question I had always wanted to ask but never dared. Will he ever come back? Chapter 13. In truth, I had expected this all along. 5 years of silence, and I, a mere bystander, had gone through so much hardship. Sebastian, as the main character, if he were to resist fate, would surely have suffered more. I once harbored a glimmer of hope, but when I received that message saying Sebastian was getting married, I received the final judgment from fate. My Sebastian was gone. I lingered outside the hotel, too afraid to go in, constantly thinking that if I didn't show up, maybe I could pretend that Sebastian was still here. When I saw the stalk of wheat on the moon, that hope returned, but when I saw Sebastian's eyes in the hotel hallway, I fell into hell completely. That man was not my Sebastian. 10 years ago, after reading that book, Sebastian had angrily retorted, "That person could never be me." His words had come true. Now, that person really wasn't him anymore. Where had my Sebastian gone? I didn't dare ask. I wanted to pretend that he was still Sebastian. I wanted to pretend that Sebastian had just fallen out of love. I wanted to pretend that Sebastian was still alive. But I collapsed. And in my illusions, I saw Sebastian again, like grasping the last straw. I hoarsely asked again, "Will Sebastian ever come back?" Julia paused, pursed her lips, and looked at me with pity before sighing softly. "He's waiting for you at the end of time." I froze, and suddenly a sharp voice came from the top of the stairs. "Julia!" Chapter 14. The male protagonist stood on the stairs. His face was hidden in the darkness. His gaze swept over me and quickly landed on Julia. "The wedding is about to start. We should go." Julia rolled her eyes and ignored him. "See? The type of guy I've been running plotlines with for the past few years. He plays his role perfectly but is actually cold and ruthless. Nothing like your Sebastian. Sebastian didn't betray you. On the contrary, he..." "Julia, enough." The male protagonist descended the stairs, his face cold in a way Sebastian would never be. "What are you so angry about? It's just a few words. You won't die from it." A trace of blood appeared at the corner of Julia's mouth, but she casually wiped it away and stood up. "Maybe dying would be better. I never wanted to take on these hellish tasks that tear apart lovers. How many times has it been now?" The male protagonist grabbed the veil from her hand, balled it up, and stuffed it into her mouth without expression. MMMPH. Julia's eyes widened in shock. Frozen in place, the male protagonist crouched down, placed a pair of shoes next to her, and gently patted her calf through the wedding dress. "Are you going to put them on yourself? Or should I help you?" It was only then that I noticed Julia had run barefoot, dressed in her heavy wedding gown, to find me. Julia quickly shoved her feet into the shoes, grumbling. Before she could explode in anger, the male protagonist suddenly turned to me and asked, "How did you figure it out? How did I know he wasn't Sebastian?" I stared blankly at that familiar face and smiled softly. "I didn't need to see. Love is an unexplainable intuition." He nodded, and then, out of nowhere, muttered, "The sixth time." Chapter 15. I didn't understand. It seemed that both he and Julia couldn't reveal certain truths. Otherwise, they would face punishment from the world's consciousness. But his words, "the sixth time," seemed to follow Julia's earlier comment. How many times has it been now? What did it mean? What had Sebastian been through all these years? This wedding is part of the plot, but it's also something he left for you. The male protagonist suddenly took the small wheat-shaped brooch from his suit and handed it to me. "If you want to know what he left behind, see for yourself." With that, he stood up, his face emotionless. "David, you..." Julia let out a surprised cry, but David quickly covered her mouth. "Let's go. Time to get married." He dragged Julia up the stairs, disappearing into the darkness. All I could hear was Julia's cry, "I'm not marrying you." "Ah, why are you coughing up blood?" I looked down at the small wheat brooch in my hand, and my vision blurred. This wedding had originally been planned for me by Sebastian, 5 years ago. Not long after we graduated from university, he had already been quietly preparing for our wedding. He would always hide in the study, scribbling on paper, refusing to show me. The night before I left for abroad, I kept pestering him to tell me more. If you see it, there won't be any surprise left. After much pleading, Sebastian finally relented a little and revealed, "Fine, I'll tell you this. The theme is based on the title of a book. The rest you'll have to guess." Even though Sebastian always called me Autumn or Wheat, I guessed it might be Neruda's Roses, Yu Guangzhong's Moon, or Leighton Brando's Galaxy, but I never guessed that the theme of the wedding would be wheat. What's romantic about cheap wheat compared to roses? Only now did I understand what Sebastian had been referencing. It was probably love and wheat mature together by the rural pastor. I gripped the brooch tightly in my palm, the pain from the wound in my hand intensifying. In the next moment, I suddenly noticed a tiny piece of paper hidden behind the brooch clasp. My heart raced as I quickly unfolded it, revealing just 5 words. Trash can, 10th floor, chapter 16. I pulled a diary out of the trash bin. The pages were yellowed, the edges curled, as if someone had flipped through it countless times. Like some silent declaration, the cover of the diary boldly read, "Male lead, Sebastian. Female lead, Autumn." My hands trembled as I opened to the first page, where familiar, arrogant handwriting greeted me. It was a brief preface. To 17-year-old Autumn. Autumn, this is Sebastian at 17. Today, we read a random romance novel, and it used my name, which made me really angry. Even though you promised me you wouldn't believe anything written in that book. And you also promised that if I ever messed up, you'd come and steal me away. But it's now 3 in the morning, and I can't stop thinking about it, tossing and turning in bed. Okay, I'm still sulking. I'm a petty person. I hate this cruel joke from fate. I hate that it cast you as just a supporting character in my story. And I hate its plot. It's ridiculous. Does it think it's the only one who can write stories? I'm so mad. So, I'm going to write my own book. A book that's only about the two of us. From school to wedding. From 17 to 97. A beautiful story where we love each other and never part. I want this book to be written by me and my wheat classmate. And I plan to spend my whole life writing it. So, I have to ask, wheat classmate, will you be my female lead? After a long pause, at the bottom of the page, there were some hasty, messy scribbles. What am I writing? Am I proposing? Isn't it way too early at 17? Autumn definitely won't believe I'm serious. Okay, I can wait until we're a bit older. Until wheat matures. Autumn, I won't go back on my word. But, I turned the page, and the first thing I saw was a sentence written by 22-year-old Sebastian. Autumn, I'm sorry, I'm afraid I'm going to have to break my promise. Chapter 17. Today is the 3rd day since you left, and I still can't reach you. I sent people to the hospital address you gave, but it's like all information about you vanished into thin air. No one can find you. I want to go look for you, but it feels like there's someone else living in my body. I don't know what he's done with my body, but after you left, my thoughts became jumbled. My memories blurry. Am I going mad? If I go mad, I won't be able to marry you, and then you absolutely have to forgive me. Autumn, no, wait. Forgiving me would mean you don't care. So Autumn, you mustn't forgive me. Look at me. I must really be sick. I'm talking in circles. Mom just came to bring me my medicine. That's when I realized I was wrong. It's already been 10 days since you left. Chapter 18. Autumn. I met that Julia. She started as an intern at the company, and on her first day, she spilled coffee all over my suit. Such a cliché opening. Of course, I made her pay the cleaning fee and banned her from ever entering my office again. But weirdly, in the blink of an eye, she somehow became my assistant. It must be the work of that other person inside me. Autumn. I'm so mad, but I can't get rid of him. Autumn. Please come into my dreams and comfort me. At least let me know if you're safe. Chapter 19. Autumn. You used to ask me every year what my birthday wish was. I didn't want to tell you because I was afraid that saying it out loud would make it not come true. But now, I really want you to know. Every year, my birthday wish has been the same. When the wheat ripens, I want to marry my autumn. I really want you to know. Maybe the Sebastian in that book proposed to the heroine 5 times. But your Sebastian, from 17 to 22, has wished for only one thing, and that is you. Until today, when I'm about to celebrate my 23rd birthday. Forgive me, but this year I've changed my birthday wish. If you want to know what my new wish is, come back and ask me soon. If you don't come back, I don't know how much longer I can wait. All right, I'll leave my wish here for you to read, just in case. I hope any passing gods will turn a blind eye and grant me this favor. Sebastian's 23rd birthday wishes for Autumn to be safe. Chapter 20. Autumn. Don't blame Mom. Every time I wanted to go see you, I got sick. And it got worse each time. I had a severe car accident on my way to the airport, and it terrified her. She started to think of Julia as my miracle cure. So don't blame her. Chapter 21. Autumn. I had a dream today. I dreamed of the first day of our second year in high school, and instead of sitting next to me, you sat in the front row, but I still noticed you right away. You always sat there alone, reading, never smiling or talking, like an icy stalk of wheat. So adorable. I called you Wheat, and you still gave me that same look, like I was a fool. I liked it, couldn't help but laugh. You know the rest of the story. I still ended up falling for Wheat. Isn't it strange? It was so easy for me to notice you and be drawn to you. But why didn't I notice you at all in our first year? Heaven must have played some trick on us. But what heaven didn't know, no matter how many times we start over, no matter how our story begins, as long as Wheat is there, I'll fall for her, over and over again. Chapter 22. Autumn. I saw you coughing up blood again. David says that because we defied the plot. This is our punishment. I didn't know you were fighting to reach me too. I should be happy, but the thought of you suffering takes all my joy away. Mom can't even tell the difference between me and David anymore, and that's probably for the best. But sometimes I wonder, can you tell that he's not me? I want you to know, but at the same time, I hope you don't. 5 years. I really want to see you again, but it looks like I'm running out of time. You've been taken to the ER. The plot is almost over, and the world's consciousness is forcing me to make a choice. What a joke. Doesn't it already know? From the very beginning, there was only one choice for me, and that's you. But forgive me, Autumn. I'm afraid I'm going to leave you behind. Forgive me. I can't make it to our wedding. At the end of the diary, one messy line after another trailed off. The sentences no longer complete. It looked like a gravely ill person, holding an uncooperative pen, trying to write, yet unable to keep going. From the scrawls, I barely managed to piece together Sebastian's last words. Seeing this letter is seeing me. I hope my Autumn lives a long life, with peace and safety every year. I held the diary close, curled up next to the trash can, and finally broke down crying. Sebastian, oh Sebastian, if I had a chance to take you away, whether you were insane, completely changed, lost your memory, or fell out of love, no matter which version of you, as long as there was even the slightest chance, I would have become the villain to take you away. But, Sebastian, you didn't tell me that my opponent was fate. You didn't tell me. When I lost you completely, how could I hold on to someone who no longer exists? I'm so useless. All I can do is helplessly and desperately beg again and again. Please, God, give me back my Sebastian. Chapter 23. I don't know how long I cried. I only knew my heart hurt so much. The pain pulling me into darkness. I wanted to sleep. Suddenly, I heard a sigh from the hallway. If I'd known you'd cry this much, I wouldn't have written the diary. In a daze, I opened my eyes and, in a blur, I saw Sebastian again. He crouched in front of me, his eyebrows furrowed, looking at me with deep affection as he coaxed. Autumn, be good. Stop crying. We'll meet again. I stared at him for a moment before letting out a sudden, weak laugh. You're not real. Sebastian, you're trying to trick me. Sebastian followed with a helpless smile, one that looked more like crying. Today is the 7th day since my death. I'm real. I came back to see my autumn. It's my fault. I made my autumn wait too long. I was never one to act spoiled. But in front of Sebastian, I always became a bit more needy. When he apologized, I couldn't help feeling even more aggrieved. You promised you'd wait for me to come back. Today should have been our wedding. How could you leave me all alone? It's my fault. Sebastian reached out to touch my face but stopped just before his hand made contact. I bit my lips sadly, and before he could pull away, I leaned my cheek into his hand. Sebastian smiled gently. Next time, Autumn. Next time I'll marry you early. I won't wait until I'm 22. Will there really be a next time? Yes, it's what this world owes me. Sebastian pretended to pinch my cheek, though he didn't actually touch me. But until the next time comes, Autumn, you have to live well. Live happily. Live a long, long life. If something happens to you, the world will blame me. And what if it doesn't give me a chance to come back? I thought Sebastian was trying to trick me into staying alive. But even if there's only a 1 in a million chance, even if all of this is a lie, how could I dare refuse him? Sebastian, you're so cruel to me. I'm sorry. Autumn, please stop crying. You haven't figured out the theme of this wedding yet, have you? I hid the answer in the wheat stalks by the banquet hall wall. Get up and take a look, okay? I wanted to say I already knew. I didn't want to get up, didn't want to go look. But when I saw the plea and weakness in Sebastian's eyes, I understood in an instant. I stared at Sebastian, looking at his eyebrows, his eyes, inch by inch, unwilling to let go. It felt like a century had passed, but also like it was only a moment. I wiped my tears, stood up, and forced a smile. All right, I'll go. Chapter 24. The wedding had already begun. I drifted into the banquet hall like a ghost through the side door, unnoticed by anyone. On stage, the bride and groom stood facing each other, and the groom was about to give his wedding vows. From the corner of the room, in the decorated area, I spotted a stalk of wheat with a small moon hanging from it. The tip of the moon was attached to a string, and at the end of the string hung a card. I turned over the card, and finally saw the answer that Sebastian had hidden 5 years ago. It was a letter, quoting from Wang Xiaobo's writings. The wheat has ripened. The days are hot. Tomorrow morning, I will go harvest it. My love has ripened too, and my heart burns with heat. I hope, dear wheat, that you will be the one to reap it. My hands trembled as I clenched the card, and suddenly, the sound of microphone feedback echoed in my ears. I abruptly turned around and looked toward the stage. In that moment, it was as if I saw the vibrant young Sebastian standing there, with that bold, carefree smile on his lips. His gaze pierced through the noisy crowd and landed solely on me. He was speaking to me. I want to offer you my open heart, along with the fields of wheat I've tended, the ripened grains, and my small, humble self. I want to give it all to you. Will you accept it? My dear wheat. Everything seemed to return to the beginning of the story. In the library, when we were 17, Sebastian and I opened that book together. That night, Sebastian was so angry that he hid under his blanket, trying to write me into his story as the female lead. He couldn't finish it in a lifetime, but from the very beginning, he had already written our story. It was a book. The title of the book was Loving You is Like Loving Life. Chapter 25. When I was 17, I fell in love with a boy named Sebastian. He said that when the wheat ripened, he would bring the harvest and marry me. When I was 22, before the wheat could ripen, I left the country. In the bustling airport, I told him to wait for me to return. At 27, I came back. I came back to tell him, Sebastian, I'm ready. I came back to attend his funeral.